What is up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Talk to Me here on notfest.com. As always, I'm Joshua Toomey, joined by the one and only Chris Akin. Chris, how are we doing?
I'm good, man. I thought your name was Notfest.
Well, judging by Blabbermouth, normally, it's like that Vince McMahon, meme where it's like, he kind of progressively gets better. It's like Blabbermouth. Post your story and you're excited. Blabbermouth says, talk to me. You're more excited. Blabbermouth says, Joshua to me. Oh my God, I'm famous. Like the big explosion at the bottom.
Right.
This was the exact opposite. Blabbermouth pulled my Apocalyptica episode that I put out yesterday on Notfest YouTube and just said, the guys from Apocalyptica spoke to Notfest at this year's Louder Than Life. So I'll take it though. Yeah, it's funny because the last two Louder Than Life little mini interviews I threw up on the Notfest YouTube, I have not sent those out to anybody.
Okay.
They're just pulling them. So I think that's kind of cool.
Sure.
When you're just kind of scrolling through your Facebook or whatnot, and you see that Blabbermouth has pulled some of your stuff, and you haven't alerted them to it. I guess they're either looking out for it, or they're obviously subscribed to it or something. They're looking for some content.
Right. Well, dude, by next week, maybe they'll mishmash it and they'll sort of have your name, but not right. It could be not Toomey or something.
Josh Timmy,
there you go.
Something like that. Actually, it was funny because the EP they have is called Metal Classic Metal.
Yeah.
So when I saw the post, I was kind of skimming it for the talk to me or my name or whatnot, and I saw Classic Metal. I'm like, oh, they're just gonna give this to Chris Akin. I see.
I'll poach it from you, no problem.
But yeah, that was a cool interview. That was the first interview I did was with Apocalyptica at Louder Than Life. They were kind of my guinea pig, make sure all the gear worked kind of thing.
Right.
And I don't know if I talked about it in my recap or whatnot, but it was funny because I had a few things set up, and Apocalyptica was the only band that was kind of sprung on me at the last second. Right. And they're one of those bands where a little bit about, but you don't know a lot about. You kind of know their story, and they've obviously got some Metallica ties and a Corey Taylor tie, and some stuff. Like, even the dude from 3 Days Grace that's in Saint Asonia now did a song with them. So you can kind of it's kind of a nice exercise in like, can I just do a spur of the moment 10-minute interview with people I don't know anything about?
What's it like to?
Yeah, watching the video, you can kind of see my wheels turning a lot. Like I'm like, looking straight up, like in the back of my head, like trying to like, all right, so they just said, okay, they brought up Corey Taylor. So this being Notfest, talk about working with Corey. You're just trying to
right.
Not look like an idiot on the screen there. Which,
trying to lead them. You're trying to lead them to words, right. Oh, Metallica, right? Tell me again about how you ended up covering their songs.
I kind of did actually. I think I was like, you've got the Metallica. I think I asked them, how long was it before they knew that Metallica was aware of them? I think was right. And they said like their fifth proper show was opening for Metallica. I was like, oh well, I guess they knew him pretty early.
Yeah, I guess they figured it out.
But yeah, man, it was a couple of cool dudes, and yeah, it was a fun, like I said, just kind of exercise and
sure.
And because had I done this year one at Louder Than Life book, covering it, I probably would have tanked it. But 7 years in, I think I know how to throw together a 10-minute interview.
Yeah, well,
to an extent.
That's because you're a pro, man. You're a pro's pro.
I am a professional journalist now, so
that's right. You do get a check. That makes you a pro, right?
I know, right? Yeah, I have to, I have to file taxes on my podcast money. So
too funny,
man. What's going on with Chris Akin Presents? What do you got going on over there this week?
I don't know. What do we have going on? I know you were making fun of me for reviewing the Selena Gomez documentary, but I don't care what anybody says. That was a damn good documentary.
I'll watch a documentary on any musician, and even a lot of times you'll go away from those because you always think that like Selena Gomez, you think that that's going to be manufactured in a lab and all these handlers and everything else. But then when you actually like watch the documentary, you find out that she was passionate and talented and driven on her own and blah blah, all that stuff. So
Yeah.
you definitely walk away from most docs on most people, kind of with a new found realization of the person.
Yeah, dude, and quite honestly, you're literally telling my story. I don't know anything about Selena Gomez. I really don't. I knew she was on The Witches of Waverly Place because my kids watched it when.
You watched it.
I ain't gonna say she's not hot as balls. I definitely will say that she's hot, but I didn't watch it then. I mean, then she was like 10 or whatever,
right?
And I just remember my kids watching it all the time, so I knew of her. I knew that she had singing, but I honestly even now can't name a song.
Right.
I don't know anything about her. And I just kind of put it on because it was late at night and I was like trying to find something to go to sleep watching. And then it sucked me in because more than anything, this documentary is kind of a microcosm look at how just amazingly fucked the business side of the music and the entertainment business in general, the movie business, all that is. Because this kid was a mess. I mean, she was, dude, I know I talked about it in the Chris Akin Presents, but there was one scene where she was losing her shit. And I mean, not like you think. I mean, you've been around a girl or a woman at some point, right? That's really losing their shit, really crying hard, really that deep emotional moment where you really can't say anything to make it better.
Right.
She was doing that. Somebody standing there filming her, not helping her. And the promoters, she didn't want to do this tour, some tour that they were doing. Then she kept saying she was afraid of letting the promoter down and he'd spend all this money and blah, 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 blah. In walks the promoter. He's like, oh, just give me a hug. Nowhere does he say, hey, maybe we should cancel tonight or, maybe we should let you get yourself together. He's like, just give me a hug. Now get out there and kick ass. It's like, dude, you piece of shit. And it, and then they announced like in the documentary later that she did like a third of the tour and then she canceled it because she was just too fucked in the head. So, and it really was, she really documented everything she was going through. She had all these journals about how messed up she was. And it was fascinating to see. For me, it was fascinating to look at that. And I'm not usually, and you know this about me, and I imagine anybody that's paid any attention to me ever knows this. I'm not the nicest soul when it comes to celebrities. I tend to hammer on celebrities, and I don't give them any credit for having any kind of problems anywhere, especially the ones that have made $100 million and can walk away from whatever their problem is. I watched this documentary and I felt really bad for this girl, man. I mean, I really felt bad for her. I was glad to see that she got her shit together now. But man, oh man, that's a kid. Now that I've seen that, it would not have stunned me any if we would have woken up 3-4 years ago to a Selena Gomez blows her head off thing.
Right.
Because she was a mess. So yeah, I did review that for Chris Akin Presents, and that was fun. Who else do I have this week? Oh, I have Leather Wolf this week, tomorrow or Friday, whatever day, Friday. Mm-hmm. And I had my good buddy Maurizio Iacono of Cataclysm on Monday.
Oh, that was a good interview. Yeah, I liked him a lot.
Yeah, he's great, man. It's so funny, man. Back when Cataclysm had their big fight with Devil Driver, remember that? The Dez versus Cataclysm thing. I was all about Cataclysm. I just love them. I've been a fan of them forever, literally since they came out. They're my favorite death metal band in the world. And I can't get enough of anything Maurizio does. He does that ex-Dio thing, which is totally not my thing, all Roman warriors and all that kind of bullshit, which I'm not into. Love it anyway. And now he's doing this Invictus band, which is sort of all of that stuff mixed up, but a little less heavy. And it's just like, yes, anytime I could talk to Maurizio is great. Me and him, I think you could probably tell from the interview, we sort of know each other at this point. So,
right.
So, just a cool guy, great guy, and the best death metal band in the world. So I loved doing that interview.
Yeah, that was a good one. Speaking of Dez, we'll go ahead and dive into some news, man.
Yes.
My, as much as I loved, the When We Were Young Fest lineup, much as I would have loved to have been there.
Yeah.
Man, this Sick New World show, Saturday, May 13th, 2023 in Las Vegas.
Right.
This is a monster of a bill. System of a Down, Korn, Deftones, Incubus, Evanescence, Turnstile, Chevelle, Papa Roach, Flyleaf, Mr. Bungle, Ministry, Cold Chamber, Soulfly, KMFDM, POD, Seven Dust, Hoobastank, Alien Ant Farm. Pretty much the Talk to Me podcast come to life.
Right.
Cold is going to be there. Filter, Melvins, Body Count. The only band missing on this bill is a One Primer 55.
Why?
I almost was waiting to I scanned the bill just to see if Bobby got the show. I needed to call him and be like, so what songs do I need to learn? Because
you ought to call him and say, hey, can we still get on this?
Well, I was actually talking with our bosses at Knotfest, and I was kind of curious to a couple of the bands are missing on this that are big, like Limp Bizkit and
right,
and some of those type bands. So I know this year with because this is the same people that did When We Were Young, and they kind of did a deal when right around the time that the show goes off, they'll announce the next year.
Okay.
So my theory is the next year, 2024 version of this show will be, we'll say not the I don't want to say them, but I'm saying Limp Bizkit is probably going to be on it, and some of those type bands will kind of pop up, and maybe we'll somehow. I just need an email. Give me an email, people, and I'll get Primer on this bill.
Get on it,
because this is 100%. Primer should be on this somewhere.
Hell yeah! Well, I was glad to see Cold Chambers on it somewhere. Holy shit! Yeah. Is that great news?
Yeah, and the kind of the comments kind of came out of the Cold Chamber camp. Where we'll pull this up here. Where was it? I mean, that's an older thing. I know that all of the members of Cold Chamber put out something on Instagram, and even Des was like, Cold Chamber is back. So I'm curious to see if Cold Chamber is back, or if Cold Chamber is just back for this show. Right. But I mean, I follow some of the other dudes that are in Devil Driver, and it doesn't really seem like there's much activity on the Devil Driver side either. So I kind of wonder if Des is going to kind of focus more on the nostalgia rather than the current band.
Well, I'm in. Either way, I'm definitely in. And I love Cold Chamber of that style. That's probably either. I don't know. I wouldn't really put Limp Bizkit in the same bucket as them. Would you?
With who? Cold Chamber?
Yeah. Would you?
Mean, they were. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Cold Chamber was heavier.
Well, yeah. Cold Chamber was way heavier. Cold Chamber, that first album especially was definitely Korn.
Yeah. See,
I kind of cheated off Korn on that one, but yeah, they're definitely in the same vein.
Yeah. I don't know if I would put Limp Bizkit, Korn, or Cold Chamber as my favorite. If we're putting them all in one bucket, those are my three.
Yeah,
I love Cold. I went. I don't. You know me. I don't travel. For me, traveling is going to the next town, and
right.
And I actually went to Indiana to go and see the last Cold Chamber reunion in 15, maybe 14, okay. 15.
Yeah, somewhere back then.
Whenever that reunion was, I went. It was what a show that was. Lacuna Coil, Seven Dust, and Cold Chamber. Wow. Oh man, that fucking ruled. But yeah, I went and saw that at Pierre's in Indianapolis. Or Indiana rather. So
yeah, Pierre's is in Fort Wayne.
Fort Wayne, Indiana. Yeah, not Indianapolis, but wherever it is, that's where I was. Just drinking my face off and big drunk,
right?
Just fucking having fun, man. So you can't. That's a tour. I would probably wherever Cold Chamber is going to be. If it ain't going to be in my town, I'm going to be traveling to the closest to my town to see it. Unless they get on one of the shitty festivals in Columbus where they only get 30 minutes. But
I've seen Cold Chamber. I'm going to say twice. I know I saw them. It was Pantera, Machine Head, Cold Chamber.
I saw that tour too. That was good.
which was good. And then I saw the Livin' La Vida Loco tour. It was Cold Chamber, Machine Head, a little band called Slipknot, and Amen was on that. And Slipknot was second to 4, and they were all on the stage. Like, everything else is backlined. All of Slipknot are just like, guitars and just trying to play at the New Daisy in Memphis, man. It's, about 1,000 cap club. And that was one time where like that was when Slipknot was like popping off,
right?
And like everybody was there, like it was packed out for Slipknot, and then like half the crowd left for Machine Head or Cold Chamber, whoever came on next. I think Cold Chamber headlined that night, and by the time Cold Chamber played, it was like a third full, half, a fourth full. You could tell it was a changing of the guard, as they say.
Yeah, definitely, dude. One of my favorite memories ever as a rock guy was at the Cleveland show for that Machine Head Pantera Cold Chamber gig, because I worked my way backstage, and I was sitting at a picnic table with Dez and Rob Flynn and Philip and the guitar tech for Machine Head, and I feel bad that I don't remember his name, but that guy, and we were sitting at a table, and they had a bottle of whiskey. And they were throwing this thing between the four of us, just everybody just passing this thing around, but it didn't stop. Like, you know how like a lot of times you be drinking with your buddies and everybody go around and you put it down and you start bullshitting or whatever. And then somebody picks the bottle back up. None of that. It just kept going around till the bottle was gone. And I was like, woo, I was a bit hammered. And then let's just say some other substances came around the table and I was like, tapped out,
right?
I had to tap out on the other substances because I had a job to go to the next day. But what a party that was. Ooh, man, I struggled to make it to the end of that night.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's man, what a good times back in the day. What's funny is as big of a Deftones fan as I am, I'm actually surprised that they're on this bill. I think whoever's running this festival had to book, back a Brinks truck up to them for them to do this, because they've spent the last 20 years of their career distancing themselves from nu metal,
right?
And then now it's System of a Down, Korn, Deftones, Incubus. Which, if you would have told me 20 years ago that System of a Down was going to be the band that came out of all that to be the biggest of all of them, and that things like Korn would be opening for System of a Down and Deftones would be opening for, like, that's insane. They're a great band. They're one of my favorite bands. Don't get me wrong, but
System is,
but of all those bands, like, they're the ones that kind of went away and became the prize of all of this.
Yeah. All right, since you like them, I despise them, and not because they're bad guys or anything. I don't know them. I've interviewed Serge once, way back in the day. But what is it about them that drew you to them? Is it music? Is it the weird delivery that dude has? I mean, what is it that you like? Because I've never gotten it. I just don't understand it.
Well, I remember we got these, like, back in the day when you got cassette singles, the little, the song samplers or whatnot. Yeah. We had gotten a System of a Down sampler with some of that stuff
on the cover.
Yeah. With some of the stuff on the first album, and we all went into it like, we just didn't get it. It didn't make any sense. It was goofy, corny, and then I went to see Fear Factory. It was Fear Factory, System of a Down, Head PE, and Spine Shank.
Okay.
And System comes out, and I was like, I kind of know them, but I'm not really that big of a fan. Right. And I watched them play, and I was immediately just like fell in love with the band. Like I was one of those, like, there's been a few bands like that. Like when I saw My Chemical Romance for the first time in a small club and System of a Down in a small club, you're just like, oh shit, like this band is amazing. We actually went because we saw the show in Louisville, but that was when I was living in Nashville. We drove to Louisville, saw the show, and then the next night they were playing in Memphis. And we all drove to Memphis to see, that package one more time. Actually, that was the night I met Jose Mangan for the first time.
Wow.
He was doing college radio back then. But yeah, man, Serge came out and he just kind of had this, like, he had actually this like Charles Manson aura about him that he just like seemed like if he was going to start a cult that night, I would have joined the cult, and the show would have never happened. But yeah, I mean, I was just blown away by System of a Down, and over the years, they've got the 5 albums or so, and some people don't like certain albums and whatnot, but I there's really not a bad album in the bunch for me.
So you did or did not like what you heard before you saw them?
I did not.
But then you saw them, and what? Once you saw them, you revisited the records and were like, okay, these are great.
Well, yeah, I mean, we only had the one like sampler.
Okay,
but this was like, I don't even know if the first album was out yet or if it had just came out. But it was one of those things where like we didn't get it, and then you see it, and you're like, oh, okay, I get it now. Like it made way more sense,
right?
And the all the antics and things like that made for a good band. I enjoyed it.
Well, dude, I'm not shitting on anybody that likes them. I don't particularly, and I've seen them. I mean, I've seen them a few times, and I have a lot of friends that have like your exact same story. That my friend Kurt, who I dragged to Pledge of Allegiance tour, he didn't want to go at all, and I was like, come on, dude, you'll like some of these bands. He became the biggest System of a Down fan that there is.
Yeah,
just from seeing them, same thing, see them, and I watched the same show as he did, and I was like, okay, how long till the next band?
Do not get it.
Yeah, I just don't. That night there, I was way more into like American Head Charge than I was into System of a Down, and you see that worked out well.
Good for them. American Head Charge was a band I think I almost auditioned for at one point.
Well, there is an opening now.
Well, yeah. But yeah, man, System, Korn, Deftones, Incubus, like just. It's gonna be a good night, man. I'm already planning on going. I already told Knotfest I will be there. So
look at that.
We're gonna go out there, and I'm gonna put in for media and
why don't you intro the bands?
All of them.
Well, any of them. I mean, wouldn't that do us good to have a little video of you saying, "Hey, ladies and gentlemen, Crazy Town," or whoever?
You guys like Cold? Yeah, but yeah, I mean, there's a couple of bands in here that I might have a opportunity to, get up in front of.
Dude, let's get some of them on the show here. Let's get Dez on the show here.
Well, I had been offered Dez a while back over was it the Devil Driver box set, but he was only doing phone interviews. I'm like, meh,
no, pass.
This is a visual medium now.
That's right.
But yeah, man, it's gonna be a fun night. Once again, Sick New World, which they kind of missed the boat on this one. Sick New World, and they don't spell it N-U. Come on.
Yeah. Boo.
But Saturday, May 13th, I have a feeling this will kind of do what When We Were Young Fest did. They'll release the May 13th tickets, hopefully sell out, maybe do a second night on the Sunday.
That'll be good.
But yeah, I mean, the tickets really aren't that bad. I looked them up. I mean, a couple $100, but I mean, it's, you get what, 30, 40 bands that are all fantastic.
They're good. Yeah.
Right.
It's not like most of these shows where you pay $200 for a ticket and it's like 4 good ones and then 30 bands that you've never heard of in your life. So
yeah, I mean, kind of the same thing with the When We Were Young Fest. I mean, you get down to this bottom row of bands. I mean, there's not a ton of stuff that I know at the very bottom here, but I mean, second to last line is Orgy, Monster Magnet, My Life with the Thrill Kill Cult.
Oh yeah, I know all those.
Yeah, I have all their album.
Sure you don't.
But yeah, it's going to be a good day of music there. And from what I could tell, I watched some of the video from the When We Were Young Fest. It seemed like it was a pretty well planned out venue and everything else. So it didn't seem to be too bad. The only thing, I think I voiced my disapproval of the When We Were Young Fest that like Kitty played at the same exact time as My Chemical Romance. I mean,
right.
Come on. Hopefully they don't do a ton of that, but I mean, there's going to be a lot of overlap, but hopefully, they better be nice to Kitty this time and have them at a normal spot, because I wonder who the band is that's going to play at the same exact time as System of a Down this time.
Yeah. Who is that unlucky band that's going to play in front of 6 people?
I'm looking at it just to see like what they would like. It's going to be like Cold, that's probably
right.
the band that did.
Primer 55 will be added to the bill for exactly that reason.
Right. And I'll be like trying to like look around, see if I can watch System of a Down from my show. Like,
right.
What's funny is the 2007 Primer tour we did. That was when the Boston Red Sox were in the World Series.
Okay.
And we were playing some bar, and it was just like, it was a bar show.
Okay.
But they had the TVs on, and like I watched the Red Sox win the World Series while I was playing my show. I was just like, I've said it a million times with those shows. Those were some of the most bizarre shows I've ever played in my life. Because I've played bar shows with bands that nobody cares about.
Sure.
And there's 10 people there that could give a shit, and you're just in the way, and people are trying to talk over you. You're just interrupting people.
Mm-hmm.
Like some of those Primer shows in 2007, we were playing to like 20 people, and you would be bummed out there were 20 people there, but those 20 people were Primer fans.
Right.
So it was like a really weird, dichotomy of trying to put on a good show. You always want to be like, I don't care if they're 10 people or 100,000. I'm going to put on the same show, which is bullshit.
Yeah, of course.
But you do want to, because those people, no matter if there's 20 people there or 200,000, those people are fans of the band. So you want to put on a good show, but it's damn near impossible.
Dude, I've always thought that there should be some kind of rule that if you're a sports oriented town and that team is in a playoff or a world championship, that the shows all over town ought to be canceled.
Right.
Because I've done the same thing. Dude, I went one time, different kind of music, but I went to see Edwin McCain.
Okay.
On the night of Game 6 of the World Series back in 90 whatever, the Atlanta series. I guess I've been 97.
Okay.
And there was me, Edwin, a bartender, and maybe 2 other people in the bar. And I'll give the guy credit. He still played for 2 hours, but it was like a rehearsal. Right. I mean, they're when I say that those people, that's how many people there were. There was no more than 5 in the room. There just wasn't. And it was because everybody was either watching the baseball game or at home, to the point that Edwin, before he came on, told the bar to turn the TVs off.
Smart.
Yeah. Why? Because what? I would start watching the game. I mean, there was nobody else to watch the game.
Right. One of my favorite sports music stories was Primer was on tour. This was the O2 tour, like the big one I did back in the day with Dope. We were on tour with Dope and Skin Lab, and we were playing San Francisco. We weren't on the Golden Gate Bridge. We were on, like, what's the other one, like the Bay Bridge or something like that.
Bay Bridge, yeah.
We were on the Bay Bridge, and it was a Monday. I remember that because the 49ers were playing Monday Night Football, but they were playing at like the Eagles. They weren't in town.
Okay.
But it was a decent day, so we had the windows down on the van.
Right.
And there was, cars around us, and like Raiders fans and Niners fans were on the bridge, and was, traffic was backed up, so we were kind of stop and go, and they were just screaming at each other like, "You guys fucking suck," like Raiders fans and Niners fans back in the day.
Sure.
And that was like one of my favorite things I've ever been around, is just people just screaming at each other for no reason on the Bay Bridge.
It's hilarious.
Good times, man. Speaking of some good shows, man, I wanted to pull up this set list.
Yeah.
From Metallica. They did the Kill 'Em All for One kind of reunion for Johnny and Marcia Zazula.
Yep. The Z's.
The Z's. And I just kind of skimming through the set list, man. I can't wait. They have to put this out. They had to have filmed this or something.
Is it not on Metallica, livemetallica.com?
I mean, they put out one like pro shot video, so I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it's there, but I hope they make a bigger deal out of it, I guess. But they did. So we'll just kind of run through it, and just stop me whenever you want. Open with Creeping Death, into Ride the Lightning, into Motor Breath. Take a break. No Remorse, Trapped Under Ice, Call of Cthulhu. Take a break. Phantom Lord. Take a break. Am I Evil, Metal Militia, For Whom the Bell Tolls, Whiplash, Fade to Black, Seek and Destroy, Fight Fire with Fire, Blitzkrieg, and looks like they closed with Hit the Lights.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's a set list.
Well, it is listed on livemetallica.com.
Okay.
Let me see. I'm going to buy this. It's fucking $10.
Well, there you go.
I'm definitely going to buy that. That's worthy there. And I know that there's probably somebody sitting at home and why would you buy it? It's not going to sound nearly as good as in the 80s. Well, no shit. But it's still a cool tribute. So good on them. I love that. And I love that I'll never take this away from Metallica.
Yeah.
They always do pay proper tribute to their history.
Yeah.
You know, and Johnny Z was a big part of their history. And bravo to them for not just saying, fuck it, who cares? You know, they did solid by him. So good on them. And I did see, I don't know if you saw this or not, but they had Raven open this show, which that's pretty sweet. Yeah. And, you know, that's what a good fortune piece that is for Raven to go up and play in front of Metallica. But then Lars and James introed them.
Mm-hmm.
That is really fucking cool, man.
Yeah, and then I saw today that Metallica, that they put on their Facebook and whatnot. They posted a photo, I guess Johnny and Marsha had 3 kids, 3 daughters, and they posted a photo with 3 daughters, and basically like they said the names, like, you know, to you guys, we hope we did your parents proud. And I'm like, yeah, you know, they just get it, man. They've always gotten it.
That's why they're the biggest band in the world and everybody else is not.
I bet you $1 million though. You're going to get this like $9.99. All right, sweet. $10. I'm going to buy it. And they're like, all right, Metallica family, our friends.
Probably will. Probably will. And I'll be like, oh, why did I spend $10 on this?
It's funny. This is on Instagram. A couple of names have kind of chimed in here. Mark Mingy of what is that?
Metal Allegiance.
Metal Allegiance. There we go. Might be the greatest Metallica set list ever. Robert Vera of Nonpoint. This is the set list. Monty Pittman. That set with a crazy emoji. Like people are pumped, man.
It's a great set. I mean, it really is good. I mean, that's the set I want to see. Metallica. If they would do this set instead of what they generally do, I would love it. I'd go back to going to the shows again. But unfortunately, that's not what we're going to get. Instead, we're going to replace Am I Evil with The Memory Remains and, you know, and take Seek and Destroy out and put Ain't My Bitch in there or something, you know, something terror, The Unforgiven. You know, it's like, stop.
I was actually on the Metallica website last night and bought, they were doing like buy one, get one half off shirts. And I bought like 2 shirts that I owned as a kid. I was like, okay, this is where I am in life. You know, like I got the, you know, the Pusshead Sad But True, and then the 4 Faces from the Black album. I was kind of having a moment, little just nostalgia moment last night.
Yeah, I have right there nailed to the wall up there. I have 3 T-shirts. I have my Pantera. I have a 9 Inch Nails shirt. I have a Pantera from Far Beyond Driven shirt, and I've got the Day on the Green shirt with the 2 the hands holding the 2 skulls facing each other. You know, just an iconic looking shirt, or it's an iconic picture. But yeah, dude, Metallica had some iconic gear. Their gear was always better than everybody else's. I don't care what anybody says. It's always awesome.
Right. Oh man. Let's kind of break it down for a minute. I kind of want to bring this up. I haven't really read it. I just saw the headline, and I know that, you know, you're probably more familiar with Helix than I am. It says former Helix guitarist Daniel Fawcett found murdered in an Ontario park.
Jeez.
Daniel Fawcett, who played for the Canadian hard rock band Helix between 2002 and 2004, was found murdered early Sunday morning. He was 52.
Damn. Well, that sucks. Wow, I didn't hear that story. Jesus.
Yeah. Are you familiar with this guy at all?
I don't know of this guy. Helix is one of those bands that it's Brian Vollmer and everybody else.
Right.
You know, it's really, he's the Dave Mustaine of that hair metal troupe. You know,
it would be like a former member of Annihilator getting murdered.
Yeah, exactly. And look, I don't want to make light of the fact that this guy was killed, obviously, because that sucks, but I don't know him. I'm going to assume he's a good player, that he was in a, you know, Helix in Canada is a big deal.
Right.
So I'd imagine he's a better than just average player. So yeah, I don't know. That's kind of crazy. I would love to know if he was like into drugs or had a bad relationship or what. You know, I don't know. I did not know of this story.
It says Helix frontman Brian Vollmer confirmed Fawcett's passing, writing in a Facebook post, "What a sad day. Yesterday, Dan Fawcett, who played guitar for Helix around 2000, was found murdered in a North London park. Dan was a sweet guy, always smiling, and a great guitar player as well. No details have been released, so there's little more I can say here. All I can say is that both my wife, Linda, and I are in shock."
Yeah. Well, you know, and there's no way that this ends up as anything but bad.
Right.
It's a murder. You know, it's not he had a heart attack in the park while running or something. He might have had a heart attack from running from a pistol, but you know, well, sorry to hear that.
Yeah. You know, rest in peace, Dan Fawcett, and T's and P's out to your family. Yeah. Crazy story, man. I don't know, man. People getting murdered.
Yeah, I wonder, is this in Canada? Yeah, it's in Canada.
Yeah, it's Canada. So, yeah, they must have a gun.
They don't have guns. I was gonna say they don't have guns in Canada, do they?
It's like, do we touch that topic?
Maybe stabbed to death with a fork or something.
Maybe with a spoon.
Yeah, because it couldn't have been a gun. They don't have guns in Canada.
That's what I've heard. Oh man. I think, you know, everybody knows my love of Judas Priest, you know, but I think that most metalheads in the South probably have, you know, a little soft spot for Dolly Parton. So I think like this is a visual representation of every metalhead in the South's record collection, that Judas Priest singer Robert Halford performed Jolene with Dolly Parton.
Is he listed as Robert Halford?
Did I say Robert?
Yes.
No, it's not. I guess I just added the Robert to it.
Is that to give him a country flair? He's Robert.
Yeah.
Robert Halford.
Oh, Robert Halford. Yeah. So he was not the only one. It was a group celebration here, but it's pretty. They're standing next to each other.
Kenneth K. Downing play with them too?
Oh man. But yeah, so have you seen the video of Rob Halford and Dolly Parton hanging there?
It's a cool moment. I mean, you know what? The weird thing is, I know a lot of metalheads get like super crazy when these mishmash things happen with Lady Gaga, Metallica, and whatever. You know, a lot of people get nutty about it. I'm actually all right with it in this context. The Lady Gaga thing was a little, has she done enough to earn the spot? But you know, look. Has Rob Halford done enough to earn the spot with Dolly Parton is the real question. You know, I mean, that's kind of on par. 50 years each, 50 years of being the best in their respective thing. Right. You know, yeah, it's a cool moment, you know, and good for Halford for knowing the song. First of all, that's pretty good, you know, that they knew it enough to sing it.
I'm sure there was teleprompters, but yeah, did you watch the actual Judas Priest footage from the night too?
A little bit. I didn't watch too much of it. You know, I mean, it looked weird. It definitely looked. Seeing KK and KK's twin on the same side of the stage looked a bit odd,
right?
And I don't know if you picked up on this or you noticed it or whatever, but didn't feel like there was any camaraderie at all. You know, it really, like, they didn't even let KK and Les Binks do the red carpet with them. Like, they did the red carpet separate from Judas Priest. Right. And it's like, all right. So they gave the fans technically what the fans asked for, but at the same time, I think they wanted to make it pretty clear that, yeah, this dude is not coming back to our band.
Yeah, I was kind of curious. I watched a little bit of it. I was, you know, from interviewing KK and reading his book and kind of just knowing how much he wanted that.
Yeah.
I was way more into it, and I was the soft spot for KK kind of thing when I watched it. But there was definitely no like where KK goes over to Rob and they rock out for a moment or anything like that.
No.
From what I saw, I mean there might be, but I didn't see it from the few clips I've watched.
Yeah, well, and they put KK on the outside of Faulkner.
Yeah.
So when Rob did wander to that side of the stage, he wandered about to where Faulkner was. Right. And then he went the other way. I think fans that are hoping for that reunion should stop it. It's not going to happen. And especially if it doesn't happen before the end of this year, then it's not going to happen, because the only reason it would have happened was because there was some kind of excitement that was created from the Rock Hall thing. And to be honest, I don't think there was. I think people are like, okay, cool, they did it, but I don't hear a lot of people, and I don't see it online or anything. A lot of people going, oh yeah, this is the first step. And
right.
Like when Halford came back, there was a lot of talk before Halford was announced. I don't see that here. I see it as just, all right, we played a gig with our old guys.
I think that they would definitely do the kind of like what Maiden did, where they have the 3 guitar players kind of deal. They don't kick out the new guy to bring the old guy back. They just keep everybody.
Well, they probably will just move Faulkner. If they were to bring KK back, they'll just move Faulkner over to the other side to play Tipton's parts.
Right.
Because Andy Sneap has already made it kind of clear that he cannot keep being the full-time touring guitarist of Judas Priest. So they're going to have to replace him anyway.
Yeah. I mean, that's the bad thing is if KK does come back, I mean, it might be too late just because Glenn Tipton can't really tour anymore.
Yeah. So it's just kind of, My big takeaway that I don't like is that they did not give Ripper. They didn't have to have Ripper on stage. I get that. I think even Tim would tell you that, but he should have been there.
Yeah.
It's I know they didn't do it here, but it's in his backyard here in Cleveland. It's a feel-good story of Tim Ripper Owens, kid from Akron,
right.
Makes the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as part of Judas Priest, a band he saved. And he did enough. I think personally, he did enough to be. He's not Dave Evans from AC/DC that recorded one song 50 years ago.
Right.
Ripper did what, 4 albums, two solo or 2 studios and 2 live albums.
Yeah.
He deserves to be there. He was there 10 years, a quarter of their history. He should have been there. And I don't think they did him right at all by not even acknowledging it.
Do you think that's a Halford thing? Do you think that's
I think it's 1,000% a Halford thing, because as nice as Rob comes off, I don't know, have you ever interviewed him or not?
I have not, no.
He is the nicest cat when you talk to him. I mean, he's typical English gentleman.
Right. And
at the same time, if you really pay attention to what he says, sometimes he's really kind of an asshole. And his comments about Ripper have always been polite, but asshole-ish. He's always had the, I have no problems with Tim. Tim's a great guy. Tim this, Tim that. He took a photo with him at some point. And I'll never, ever, never, never, ever sing one of his songs because I never listened to those albums.
Right.
They weren't Judas Priest to me.
That's like, Bruce Dickinson is singing Blaze Bayley era Iron Maiden tracks, which I think that if you were to kind of go with both bands, I could see, Bruce Dickinson doing that less than Judas Priest singing some of the Ripper era, because, just the Blaze Bayley era of Iron Maiden is not, well looked upon from what I know. I lost you there.
All right, there we go.
All right.
No, it's the interesting thing with them is I think it goes back to band leadership, and I think Steve Harris is the leader of Iron Maiden,
right?
And Steve Harris does not see a difference between Paul Di'Anno, Blaze Bayley, and Dickinson. He just sees it all as Iron Maiden. And I have a feeling he just comes up and says, look, we're doing Sign of the Cross or the Klansman on this tour, and that's it. Learn the words, Bruce, because that's what we're doing. You know, and I honestly think that's how it goes. And Dickinson, you know, it's I asked Dickinson about this when he came back for Brave New World, if he would play those songs, and he was like, yeah, why not? You know, he doesn't care. He's not, you know, and why would he care? I mean, from the time he joined Iron Maiden, he was singing Paul Di'Anno songs.
True.
So for him, you know, maybe it's kind of, well, that's kind of what the gig holds. I just think Halford would make the fans really happy if he did, you know, like one song, you know, Cathedral Spires or something, or Jugulator, or just like one song from the Ripper era, just to really kind of say, okay, it's all Judas Priest, you know. They're quick to sell that 50-year thing of Judas Priest, but yet they're really only tributizing 40 years of it.
Right.
And then pretending that 10 more just didn't exist.
Right. Well, let's dive into Avenged Sevenfold singer M. Shadows calls it fan abuse to release multiple variants of a record to pump numbers. Have you read this at all? I
have not. No. What does he mean by multiple variants?
Well, funny you should say that, Chris. If you want the new Taylor Swift record, Midnights, you have a great variety of options when it comes to purchasing it.
Okay.
We aren't just talking the difference between CD version versus vinyl, but Swift's new record actually comes packaged with a variety of additional goodies depending on what version you purchase. While some Taylor Swift fans may love all of these options, Avenged Sevenfold frontman M. Shadows thinks it as such an action is quote-unquote fan abuse. Over on his Twitter, M. Shadows shared his feelings regarding those who release multiple variants of their records in an effort to pump numbers. In his initial tweet, he wrote the following: selling multiple versions, repackages, and bundles of your album to the same fan so that you can get a chart position that no one cares about and is manipulated should be called out for what it is, ... fan abuse. He then went on to add, I'll expand. Many options are fine. When if it's when it becomes buy the vinyl for ticket discounts, buy the CD version for one extra track, buy the first week 8-track for an exclusive t-shirt. It's all bullshit to make you buy the same shit to pump numbers, and that's fucked.
All right. Well, he's not wrong.
Right.
I will definitely say that he's not wrong. And nothing has driven me more crazy in the last 20 years. And sorry, Slipknot, but you're guilty of this with everybody else. The Roadrunner Deluxe Edition that comes out 5 months after the real edition.
Yeah.
Because as a hardcore fan, I wasn't going to wait 6 months to buy a new Slipknot record. I wasn't going to wait to buy a Sepultura record. I wasn't going to wait to buy a Soulfly record or Typo Negative or whatever. And Roadrunner, I'm not blaming the band here. I'm definitely blaming the label. Every single record, Fear Factory, all those great records had releases. And then a few months later, well, here comes the deluxe edition with one new track and 3 live tracks. And stupid ass Chris Akin right there giving them another $22.
Right.
You know, every time. And it made me mad as hell. And I did it anyway because I was a fan of the band. You know, I think it's a two-way street. I mean, obviously it's the music business. And these guys have figured out that fans are stupid and will just keep buying stuff. Me and you we're as dumb as they come.
I bought those expanded Roadrunner releases. Don't get me wrong.
I mean, dude, you have a football helmet that has nothing to do with Pantera other than a Pantera guy touched it and you bought it.
Hell yeah, I did.
You know, and you're proud of it and you're happy with it. And that's good. And there's nothing wrong with that. And look, M. Shadows has to understand this is the way it's always been.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, go all the way back. Where do we want to start the rock business? Elvis? Would that be like kind of the start of rock and roll as a business?
I mean, yeah, if you watch all that stuff on him, yeah, I mean, it was definitely a business when it came to Elvis.
Sure. How many repackaged everythings are there of Elvis?
Oh, yeah.
everything has been, there's the short version of Live in Hawaii, there's the long version, there's the Live 68, there's the VHS, there's the DVD, there's the the downloadable. Everything is repackaged and repackaged. Same with Jimi Hendrix. I think you can buy Jimi Hendrix phone machine messages at this point because the family has prostituted everything that guy did. It is who's made more money than Kiss?
Right.
Kiss has repackaged anything they've ever done. Pictures of themselves, logos, music, fan art, the instruments. They sell the freaking instruments that they play now because they've run out of shit to repackage. Is that fan abuse?
Well, I mean, that's the thing with a Kiss, with Kiss on a cover of a magazine. There's going to be 4 issues of the same magazine.
Sure.
And they're basically, just there's going to be the fans that go out there and they buy all, oh, I got the Peter Criss, oh, I got the Ace Frehley, and you have to go to multiple stores to get it all.
Sure.
I mean, it's fun, it's collectible, but yeah, at the same time, I mean, it's basically, inflating numbers. There was actually another quote that's not in the article I have up, but he was talking about, if you sell, 4 different versions of an album to the same 100,000 kids, and that's 400,000 albums. Is that truly, he said, is that album sales or he goes, is it album sales or say what it is truly souvenirs?
Okay, but what isn't that what all music content is ultimately, is a souvenir? All of it, whether it's you go to a show. When you go to a show, you're not content to just go to the show and take your glorious memories home with you. You're quick to buy a shirt or a hat or a bandana or a poster or a belt buckle or whatever the hell they're selling. If you're a fan, that dude, guys like him, and again, I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm saying he's 100% right. I don't think he understands the business that he's in. He's in the business of used cars called music.
Yeah.
That's really what it is. It's the same as a used car. It's like, okay, somebody did it before. Somebody's going to do it again, but they like the way you do it. So they're willing to spend money to get everything that's related to the way you do it. Silly.
Right. Yeah. And then when the new Avenged Sevenfold album comes out, and there's the M Shadows, and there's the Sinister Gates version and the Johnny Christ version. It's like, oh, well, you're kind of doing the same thing here, man.
Yeah. Do you think he's not going to release a black vinyl and a splatter vinyl and do you think Avenged Sevenfold's not going to do that? The haunted vinyl or whatever?
Well, I mean, even when I just had the Daryl from Snapcase on, they have of a 25-year-old album, they have a Revolver version that you can buy through. You have to go through Revolver to buy it, and then there's one on their website, and then there's one on another printing press's website, and you have to go all over the place to get these versions. So yeah, I mean, it's crazy that it's like that, but I mean, there's obviously going to be some Snapcase fans out there that want to buy all 3 because they want the collectibles.
Dude, Plush has been a band for 36 minutes now, and they have different colored vinyl releases. I mean, and they have not been a band. They haven't even been a band for 2 years, and they have multicolored releases of their stuff. It's just the way of the game. It's the multiple releases that he's talking about in today's world. Now, again, I don't want to compare this to 20 years ago that I was talking about before, but in today's world, a lot of this has to do with compensating for the fact that people aren't just buying. We're not just randomly buying CDs by our favorite bands anymore.
Right.
So you put out different pieces of product to kind of compensate for the loss of 3 million sales that you used to get just because you shit out a record.
Well, it's like, we went to Target the other day for Halloween clearance or whatever. We stocked up on Halloween clearance, by the way. It was like all of it. Like the house, we look like a haunted house upstairs right now. But we walk by the media area, and gigantic Taylor Swift buy the album, and and it's crazy like how much vinyl for the Taylor Swift album there is, and that has to be a collectible because yes, there are a bunch of kids out there with the cheap record players and whatnot, but I mean, how many teenage kids truly have record players, but they want it because it's what it is a giant knickknack.
Yeah. Yeah, they put it in a frame and put it on a wall. They're not looking to listen to it.
Well, I mean, you got the...
Yeah, I know. I was going to say, you got the wall right there. You have it right
I
there.
listen to it, damn it.
Have you listened to the actual vinyl there or no?
Yeah. I mean, I've had that one since I was a kid, but yeah,
Okay.
I've listened to the vinyl. I do have a record player upstairs, but
okay,
that I listen to my Taylor Swift album on. So.
Yeah, I bet you did.
Because we did go to the same high school, just a few years apart.
Did you really?
Yeah, we were both.
I did not know this.
we are both alumni of Hendersonville High School in Tennessee.
Oh, what song did she write about you?
It's funny. I did work with a guy that went to school with her, and they had a punk band, and they had a song called "T.S. is a Cunt," and she found out about it, and she threatened legal action against them if they didn't stop playing this song.
She threatened legal action about somebody else writing a song about her.
Yeah, basically. I mean, not that she probably could have done anything, but she was in high school also.
Oh.
And she was not too happy that my friends or my coworkers were writing songs about her.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I love that story. Let's dive into one more thing, and then we'll get into some stuff here. You kind of brought this to me. I'm not going to play the video, but there's a couple of quotes from it. But you talked about Gen Z reacting to Slipknot.
Yeah.
There's a video from, looks like it's called React. 20 million subscribers. Good job, React.
Wow.
A couple of the quotes here. Obviously, these are kids watching Slipknot videos, and kids say the darndest things type stuff.
Right.
One kid shares how Slipknot are some quote unquote freaky people, and then mentions their masks freak me out way too much. Another kid said, talking about Corey Taylor, I kind of like his voice, but what is this face? Referring to his mask. The same person then goes on to say, is this the Purge?
Funny guy.
But yeah, so so it's always fun to watch these kids watching videos and reacting to them. My favorite ones are like the kids reacting to the videos, but then like if Slipknot was to watch the video of the kids like the super meta version,
right. where they read hate tweets or whatever. I always like that stuff.
Yeah, the hate tweets are great. Yeah, so make sure to go over to React and check out the Gen Z kids reacting to Slipknot.
Yeah, apparently they're not fans. I'm sure Slipknot is heartbroken by this.
Right. All right. Well, do you have any reviews, any recommendations, anything you've been listening to this week or watching?
I've been watching this show called The Peripheral on Amazon Prime. Very modernish show. It's all about VR and time travel and stuff like that. It's kind of a cool show. It's not the kind of show that you can watch like casually though. It's definitely okay, I'm wide awake, time to watch this type of a show, and not right. Not while you're doing something else. You can't be fucking with your phone or nothing when you're watching it. But it's called The Peripheral. It is on Amazon Prime. I'm really, really liking that a lot, and listening. Not a damn thing new. We're at the end of the year.
Right.
I think me and you have everything that's already been out, already, or is coming out. I think we already have all of it, so there's nothing new. I did check out the new Saint Asonia. That was pretty good.
I haven't listened to it yet, but I do. I know we both have our Saint Asonia interviews next week, but
that's right.
I have not checked it out yet, but I will definitely be diving into that. The main thing I want to talk about is the Weird Al movie.
Okay.
I mean, that obviously caused a stir when it came out, last Thursday or Friday?
Right, last week, right.
And it's funny how many people...
It's on the Roku channel for people that want to watch it.
Yeah, it's called Weird, the Al Yankovic story, starring Daniel Radcliffe, Harry Potter himself.
Yeah.
I mean, I loved it. I mean, I loved Weird Al as a kid. When I was that was probably like one of my first real getting into a band as a kid. Obviously, it's funny and haha, and eat it and all that good stuff. And then the ridiculousness of this movie it just made it that much better. I mean, just the fact that Daniel Radcliffe, who does not need to do this movie, like, I think people that watch this movie and don't get it, like, have no sense of humor. Like,
they can't be Weird Al fans.
Yeah.
If you, I mean, dude, I'm with you on this. If you watched this movie and you didn't love it, you never were a Weird Al fan. This is literally if you took Weird Al's collection and made it a movie. This is what it would be. It would be silly. It'd be stupid. It'd be outlandish. I don't know what people were thinking, you know, and I saw the people that were commenting at you about, I thought it would be better and I thought it was going to be more true to life. When is Weird Al giving you that thought that that's what he would allow to be, you know, a representation of himself? It's just not who he is.
I mean, if you watched any of the trailers going into this movie, you knew that it was ridiculous to begin with. And then the fact that, like, I loved the you know, the party at Dr. Demento's house with Wolfman Jack, and and I love, like, the making fun of the bass player from Queen, you know, like, he's like, yeah, I'm blah blah blah, and they're like, who are you? And he's like, I'm in Queen, I play bass, and they're like, oh, like, everybody's kind of making fun of him, I mean, like, you know, there's like a goofy Pee Wee Herman and a, you know, Divine's there, and, you know, it's just, if you're a true fan of Weird Al and you know the Dr. Demento aspect of him, and just kind of that whole you know, that whole timeline, and I mean, it's a parody of every rock movie you've ever seen, and and I have to say, I mean, if you're into rock movies, everybody hates these things. Like, there's never been a biopic put out about a band that anybody's ever liked, because they're always like, that's not how it happened. And then this comes out and they're like, that's not how it happened. I'm like, no shit, that's not how it happened. It's Weird Al. Yeah, and
it's a goof. It's a goof, just like Weird Al's music was a goof on the real songs.
Yeah,
it's the same thing. Now, I will say this, and I don't know if you agree or not, but I thought Daniel Radcliffe himself was awesome in this movie.
Fantastic.
He looked just like him in a lot of the scenes.
Yeah, this might be Daniel Radcliffe's best role ever.
Wow. Now there's a statement. Somebody's looking to get his name on, hey, according to Talk To Me and today's Book Read magazine or whatever.
Well, according to my wife, she's about to punch me in the face whenever she hears this episode, because she's a gigantic Harry Potter fan. So that's for you. But yeah, I mean, how could you not love this? And, you know, and the people that I saw really commenting on, I wanted the true story and all this stuff. I'm like, you guys take everything way too serious. Like, I saw other journalists posting about it, and, like, you know, the ones that I could have almost named before they posted who was gonna be happy with this and who was gonna be like all butthurt about it, and I was pretty much right. So I'll keep the names to myself. But yeah, man, you know, have a good time. Put the Weird Al movie on. I mean, my 8-year-old son watched it with me. He was laughing, you know.
Sure.
He wasn't like, this isn't how it really happened, you know.
Right.
So he had a good time with it. We all had a good time with it, you know. And yeah, I mean, and like I said, man, it is star-studded. Like, the amount of people that are in it, you know, and having a good time, and just, you know, obviously Rainn Wilson's in it, Lin-Manuel Miranda's in it.
Yeah.
You know, Scott Aukerman's in it.
Yeah, there's a lot of people, considering that it's a free movie.
Yeah.
There was a lot of named people that are in this thing. So, and just, you know, sidebar, the Roku channel is awesome. Just as a sidebar, the Roku channel is I love all these free channels, Freevee and Pluto and Tubi and all that. I love the Roku channel. The Roku channel has, like, some of the best content out of all of them. So this movie just being one more great movie on the Roku channel.
Yeah. I mean, like, yeah, this was on the Roku channel. Actually, my Facebook memories popped up, I think today or yesterday. I was watching that Bill Burr kind of shorts.
Yeah, I love that show.
He put out what, a year or two ago on the Roku channel. Yeah, I mean, when they want to do original content, they get it right, man. So yeah, the Weird Al movie, good times.
Yep, go check it out. And everybody, just so people aren't confused, you don't have to have a Roku to have the Roku channel. I can't tell you how many people were like, "Oh, I wish I could watch this, but I don't have a Roku." It's like, you don't need a Roku. You can install the Roku channel on an Amazon stick or on Apple TV or whatever. You don't have to have a Roku.
Yeah, I saw some people like, I turned it off halfway through and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, man, you guys just.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Unfunny. Go enjoy your serial killer documentary then. Jesus.
Well, yeah, they're probably at the same time like, that's not how it happened. He actually, he didn't rip out 3 teeth. He only ripped out 2.
Yeah, he strangled her with a rope, not with a shoelace. What is this shit?
Turn this shit off.
That Green River, it wasn't really green. It was more of a brownish color. He should have been the Brown River Killer.
Yeah,
stop it.
Yeah, everybody that hated on like the dirt and everything else. I mean, yeah, that's not how, people take liberties when it comes to cinema. It's a movie. It's a fucking movie.
Well, I didn't like the dirt, but not because of the fakeness of that, just because the stories were all lies.
See, there you go. It's not how it happened, man. It's not how it happened. It's bullshit. He snorted the cocaine off her ass, not her tits.
That's right.
Oh man. Well, the one thing that with the Talk to Me podcast you will get is 100% truth all the time, and there's no fluff, and there's nothing ever made up here. So
nope, it's just us riffing ridiculously.
There you go. Well, for the Talk to Me podcast here at notfest.com, I'm Joshua Toomey.
I am Chris Akin,
and we will talk to you soon.
See ya.